You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them.
This is Massive Late Fee with Mike and Mark.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me, as always, is my co-host Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. How about you, Mark?
Good. We're doing good here at Massive Late Fee. We've had a good week here.
Happy belated birthday, Mark. Mark's birthday was yesterday on the 29th.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are all getting older. Mike and I have both aged a year since last year. Odd.
That happens for most people.
But the news, we've got some interesting news. I scoured the internet.
We got some.
And found some news that you might actually be interested in. So I'm gonna start with Star Wars news. The Star Wars apparently has canceled the trilogy that D.B. Weiss and David Benioff were supposed to spearhead the Game of Thrones guys, the bros, the Throw Bros. They were going to do a trilogy of Star Wars movies, apparently, which was going to explore the origins of the Jedi themselves. That's the information that I have. That has been canceled. They now have some sort of development deal at Netflix. I'll tell you, I don't know if I've seen two producers, showrunners, whatever you want to call them, their star fall as fast as these two guys have, because they were on top of the world with Game of Thrones. Then no one liked the last season, apparently, even though I think you and I both thought it was fine. If rushed.
There were good parts. Like I like the episode, the big battle episode on Castle.
Grayskull.
Was it Castle Black?
Yeah.
I think it's Castle Black.
Yeah.
That was a good episode, I thought. I mean, the ending was kind of cheesy in a way, but I mean, it's not like, we're talking about a dead man who's made of ice, So we can't really talk about, reality and the bounds of that too in depth.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like many shows, I felt like it kind of started to lose quality. Like at a certain point, they're just like kind of like fill up episodes, Mm-hmm. But I mean, I really don't get it with Game of Thrones because there's so much more source material they could have just expanded upon. But I imagine there's an issue with all the kids on the show growing old quickly and all that stuff. But
speaking of the source material, HBO has confirmed at least 10 episodes of a Game of Thrones prequel called House of the Dragon, which is going to be based on George R.R. Martin's book Fire and Blood. It's going to take place 300 years before Game of Thrones, and it will depict the Targaryen kings who ruled Westeros.
Fucking each other?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so they apparently they were going to do some other spin-off series. I think maybe it was going to be I don't remember exactly what it was going to be.
I heard they're talking about 4 different spin-offs of the the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they canceled one of them, I know, but they've confirmed this one's going to have. I think they're going to look. I think The Long Night might be part of this. That's my guess. The spiders as big as dogs and shit.
First of all, I think prequels are stupid. Like, the only exception is, like, maybe The Godfather Part 2. I almost said 3, which would have been hilarious. They're going to wipe out the Targaryens? I know they're not going to. I already know the history of, the show. I mean, I already know what's going to happen. And, like, the Star Wars prequels, not only were they bad to begin with, they were pointless. Oh, look, he turned into the Darth Vader. Who didn't fucking know that?
Yeah, I know. The Star Wars prequels were flawed from the beginning. The whole idea of them was flawed from the beginning.
And from what I've heard, like, the most recent trilogy basically is just like the original trilogy rehashed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I don't see a point to the original trilogy to begin with. So a sequel and a prequel are just meaningless to me for this particular property.
I think they're sort of bankrupt, like creatively bankrupt.
Morally. Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
But speaking of Hollywood moral and creative bankruptcy, apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger has said, although one of these I might like to see, Arnold Schwarzenegger has said that he is open to doing a True Lies 2 or a Last Action Hero 2. Now, True Lies, they absolutely ended that with room for a sequel.
So I like both those movies. I know a lot of people like. I guess The Last Action Hero was panned. I don't really see why. It's a fun movie. It's entertaining. You know, it's just not your typical Arnold Schwarzenegger like movie at that time. I mean, there's just like a kids movie. Really, it's not like he's gonna be like shooting people in the head and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
True Lies is. See, I really don't want them to do a sequel to True Lies because I mean, first of all, the characters are like 20, almost 30 years older at this point. I mean, I don't want to see Sylvester Stallone at 70 years old, like, you know, playing Rambo still. I mean, it's just dumb. I mean, that's just the dumbest shit I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Yeah, and that just happened. Sylvester Stallone played.
Yeah, he's like 4 Rambos ago. He was too old to play Rambo. I mean, I understand, like, you know, it's not his character. He probably owns the rights to it, but I mean, I just don't see people still go see them, so I can see why they keep making them. I wouldn't want to taint the original film with like a shitty, like, you know, sequel. And I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be better than the original True Lies.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, Schwarzenegger was over the hill.
And are they even allowed? Are they even allowed to have like Arabic people be terrorists anymore in movies?
I don't know. I was gonna say that Stallone was over the hill playing Rambo when he helped Osama bin Laden and the Taliban
Yeah, no shit.
in Afghanistan.
Thanks a lot, Sylvester Stallone.
Right, they dedicated that movie to the freedom fighters. But anyway, so the never forget. But yeah, this to me strikes me as very clickbaity type of thing because like at one of the first lines of the article says the actor broke the news while discussing his latest film Terminator Dark Fate. So, you know, he's doing press for Terminator Dark Fate and somebody comes up to him and says, "Hey, would you do a True Lies 2 or a Last Action Heroes sequel?" And, you know, what's he going to say? He's probably like, "Yeah, you know, I might do that." That's the story. That's all this is. There's no planning for this. They aren't. James Cameron isn't interested in making a sequel to True Lies. Nothing's gonna come of this. It's just they asked him some clickbait question, and he was like, or you know, however he intones.
I think that's Sylvester Stallone you're impersonating there.
I think that was Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger mud wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
I'm only okay if he mud wrestles predators from outer space.
My favorite story about the two of those is that Arnold Schwarzenegger tricked Sylvester Stallone into doing Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Hey, I heard that today on like it was an interview with, I don't know, Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or something. I heard it yesterday. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that is hilarious. For those of you that don't know, basically Schwarzenegger expressed interest in doing Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, even though he had no intention of doing it because it sounded like a shitty movie. But he did it so that Stallone would take the role, and Stallone's agent was like, "Hey, you know, you got to do this movie." And Stallone's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? It doesn't look very good." It doesn't look very good. And he said, "Oh, you know, if you don't do it, Schwarzenegger's gonna do it." And so he ended up doing the movie, and you know, Estelle Getty changes his diaper or something. I don't know what the fuck happens to that movie.
Yeah, you gotta, if it's Sylvester Stallone saying this doesn't look like a good movie, keep in mind he was an over the top.
Yeah, agreed. The
Stop or a mom will shoot sucked. What did he say? He said stop or a mom will shoot sucked.
That was one of the best skits.
Yeah, the great Norm Macdonald Sylvester Stallone sketch. Hopefully it's on YouTube. I don't know. That seems like what he wrote too. I mean, that just is a very Norm like humor all over that one.
Absolutely. So that is it for the news today. We will continue on this freight train of deliciousness.
My God.
By moving on to Keeping Current with Mike. This is where we plumb the depths of the celebrity gossip trough and see what tasty morsels we can come up with. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But that's what we're doing. Mike, where are we going? Where are we going in life? And for this segment.
eonline.com/news.
E-Online, okay. This is going to be good.
Steve Kometko would have known what I was talking about.
Yeah, he definitely would have. And what was her name? Julie... Oh, who?
Asner? Something like that.
Jules Asner. That's...
I don't think she... What if she's related to Ed Asner? That'd be kind of weird.
Holy fuck. I haven't thought of Jules Asner or Steve Kometko in probably 25 years.
You're not alone, Mark. You're not alone.
I want to see if Jules Asner is, one, still alive, and two, related to Ed Asner. She is still alive. She looks a little like Deborah Messing, for those of you that don't know what she looks like.
That all makes sense.
She's married to Steve Soderbergh.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
But yeah.
That's where I heard her name the other day, because I was reading something. I'm like, she married to Steve... It's weird, like, I don't know if you know this. Do you know Tabitha Soren from MTV?
Yes, I do.
She's married to the writer Michael Lewis. I don't know if you ever read him. He's like a nonfiction writer.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of like... I think that's who he's married to. Tabitha Soren or Serena Alchel, one of the two. I think it's Tabitha Soren.
Jules Asner, by the way.
Shout out to Soren.
Who was born Julie Ann White. But Jules Asner, this is the first line of her Wikipedia, is a screenwriter and author. What? What the fuck is Jules Asner wrote? As well as former entertainment journalist, television personality, and model. She's married to Steve Soderbergh. What did she write? A note on Steve Soderbergh, one of Steve Soderbergh's scripts. There's nothing.
Could be.
There's no credits for her on on here, so I don't even see anything as far as credits go.
I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but he did a movie with his ex-wife about their divorce. I wonder if he was going out with Jules Asner.
Holy shit.
That'd be a very awkward period.
That's
I'm just going to go
ballsy.
film a movie with my ex-wife.
That is ballsy. I'll tell you that much.
Did these stories...
Oh, she was born February 14th. Valentine's Day.
What year?
1968.
Huh.
So she is 51? Yeah.
Fair enough.
Hey, oh no, sorry. That's her most recent credit is Jay.
Wasn't she?
Bob
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't she in Jay and Silent Bob Strike? I'm surprised I didn't get her for the sequel.
That's her. Yeah,
or the reboot.
That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be the reboot, but she directed one episode of Hard Copy, apparently.
Of Hard Copy?
Yeah, I guess.
What? What does that even mean? Does the camera ever move during Hard Copy? Like, literally all Hard Copy is there's like a stationary camera and then like film clips.
It's a very David Lynch-like production over there. Just a lockdown camera, very close. It's a claustrophobic set at Hard Copy.
It's like the news. I mean, if you could, I guess there's something to be said for filming the news well. I mean, directing the news well, but it's not a difficult job, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I think Chuck Rondo from back in Clawson High School that used to do the soccer games could direct the news.
I mean, I did it in like a telecommunications type class, and it came out okay. I mean, for like doing it once or twice, it didn't seem especially difficult.
Yeah.
Do you think she was lording that over as Steven Soderbergh? Hey, sorry, I just got back directing Hard Copy.
I don't know what you're working on, but...
Oh, you're doing that little movie about traffic.
Right.
Catherine's doing it. I like that movie. I don't really know if I've seen a lot of his movies, but I did like Traffic.
Yeah, I like Traffic too. That was the one I could think of as well. Apparently, he's an executive producer on Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Okay, I assume that means he's giving someone money. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my guess. Let me look up his. Oh no.
I hope him being an executive producer doesn't mean he gets to pick the director.
Right.
Because I think I know where he might be.
Jules Asner's directing the new Bill and Ted movie.
All right, now Bill and Ted. First of all, don't move. Secondly, can you just throw it to a clip of you guys doing something else, also not moving? And Kimmy, Bill, and Ted, and Steve Kometko.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Oh wow. Okay, so Steven Soderbergh has directed a new movie that's coming out called Let Them All Talk. Then he's done The Laundromat, Mosaic, Logan Lucky. I heard that's good. The Nick, which was a TV series. Never heard of it. Behind the Candelabra. That's that.
Oh, he directed that. That was the Liberace movie on HBO with Michael Douglas and Matt Damon. I think that the Nick thing, that was a series. Did he just do like one episode or something? I think it was like about like Victoria and like medicine. I don't think it was on for very long.
He directed, I believe, like 20 episodes of it.
Jeez.
Yeah. Magic Mike. Haywire, Contagion, The Informant with an exclamation mark. Anytime there's an exclamation point in a movie, you know it's good. Ocean's 13. Oh, that's right. He directed the Ocean's movies. Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 11, yeah.
Well, anyways, getting current with Mike.
Yeah. Let's do an actual story.
Yeah, we got a long night ahead of us here, Mark.
All right.
Charlie XCX speaks out over abusive meet and greet interactions with fans.
Okay, now I hate myself, but I know who Charlie XCX is. She's a singer.
Oh, I have no idea who that is.
The only thing I know that she sang is in that song "Fancy" by Iggy Azalea. She sings the chorus part of it. I'm so fancy.
Oh, jeez. And she has fans?
Apparently.
Isn't that song like 5 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But now, what is she ashamed of? She's ashamed of.
She's speaking out over abusive interactions with fans at meet and greets.
Oh, so she's abusing fans.
No, she's being abused by them, I assume.
Oh,
like they're
well,
grabbing her bazoombas.
Oh, well, that's not nice. Shouldn't be doing that. 'Cause that's not on, guys, obviously. Come on. Just because her music sucks. Don't be grabbing her breasts at meet and greets.
Greets.
That's awful. Where's security in all this? Why aren't they?
You think she has security money for her meet and greet?
Yeah, that's true. You're probably right. She doesn't have enough money for security. Oh, it's terrible. Sorry, Charlie XCX. Your music still sucks.
The next story is watch Jennifer Garner make a hilarious plea for funny over sexy Halloween costumes.
Okay.
So it's like a video clip. I assume it's just her saying, be funny instead of sexy. Who cares? I don't care about Jennifer Garner or what anything. Just
every time I see Jennifer Garner, I'll. Oh, where's your booing?
You'll laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, she's okay. I mean, but I just don't really care too much. I mean, why not go for scary? That's what Halloween's about.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with sexy if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to the clip. She might be like making a good point towards like young people. I guess
yes.
I don't really know what it's. I mean, that I agree. It's just weird to see like I don't know, like 13-year-olds walking around like, oh, I'm a slutty so and so. It's like, yeah, I don't really think so.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, but in my opinion, instead of funny or sexy, go for scary because it's Satan's day. Please him.
It is.
And that's all I have from keeping current with educating Mike. Back to you, Mark.
Well, now we will move on to our Parents Guide game. Oh wait, you know what? Let's before we do the Parents Guide game, because we've got a couple different things here going on. So before we do the Parents Guide game, I'm going to talk to you guys about your gambling problem. No, we have.
Is that like the pot calling the kettle black there, Mark?
Yeah, exactly. I am frequently gambling online because, it's fun. It's a fun thing to do, and I win money sometimes. And if you want to win money sometimes, and other times lose money because that's how it works, you should go to MyBookie. So, Mike, are you familiar with MyBookie's fantastic interface? They've got the best lines. You know, you could go to Vegas, you could go to Atlantic City, you could go see what was that? What was those shows in Atlantic City that I'm trying to remember what.
Oh, I cannot remember what they were, but they were very sad.
Oh yeah, there was. Oh, the one was. I remember it was like dead singer. They were all dead singers, and they were.
Yeah, yep, that's right. It was like an impersonator show.
Yeah. So you could go to Atlantic City, see that show, but you're not gonna find the lines that you're gonna get here. You won't find lines this good outside of the 1980s.
And I mean, come on, think about it. Do you really want to, go take a shower, get dressed, get in your car, go fill it up with gas, drive tens of miles to a casino, get parking, walk from the parking lot to the casino, and only then, you have to hit an ATM and maybe like, oh, there's a $5 charge for this, Once you're there, they're just like sucking money away from you, the second you walk in the door.
Absolutely.
Or from the privacy of your own home. I mean, you could just go to mybookie.com.
Why see another person in the world? When you
What the fuck is going on over there?
Why we've got musical accompaniments for this. Why see another person when you could just go to mybookie.ag and place your bet? And let me tell you. So, Mike, if you want to win a lot of money,
I do.
but you don't want to spend a lot of money,
I don't.
what you should do is you should do a parlay. These are things I like to do. One of our friends that lives in Las Vegas, Ben and I, we used to do this all the time. You pick like 4 games, 5 games, and you put them all together. And if all these things happen, if all these teams win, then you spend a little bit of money and you make a lot of money. I mean, Norm Macdonald does it all the time. And
He's on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put that in the ad.
He's one of the most successful comedians out there, and Norm's got his own promo code. We've got our own promo code.
Penn Jillette has a promo code.
I'm sure he does for something.
No, for my bookie, I heard on his podcast earlier.
Awesome. So we're in good company here. So now here's the thing: if you join MyBookie right now,
Right now?
yes, do it on your computer right now. Use the promo code. Use the promo code late fees. That's LATEFEES, all caps. MyBookie will double your first deposit. So up to $1,000. So if you deposit $1,000 because you have a severe gambling problem, they will give you another $1,000 to double that severe gambling problem. $1,000 is a lot. It's more than I'd bet. But you.
I mean, who wouldn't take a free $1,000? You're an idiot if you don't take this offer.
I agree. Absolutely. So go to mybookie.ag, enter promo code LATEFEES, LATEFEES, and you will activate that offer.
I think you just got more aggressive with each letter.
So, MyBookie, you play, you win, and you get paid. Do it now.
Hey, is this offer available to people in other countries too, Mark?
This offer is available to everyone that's got a fucking computer. If you live in another country, and if you're in China and they won't honor, if they won't let you go to mybookie.ag, get a VPN and go to mybookie.ag and do it anyway.
Yes.
Sign up anyway. But if you're in Denmark, like our wonderful friends, go there.
Denmark?
Yeah.
They're in Amsterdam. We hate the Danish.
Do we? I know,
Yes.
Amsterdam's the city.
Yeah, they're the Dutch though, the Netherlands. Denmark are the Danes.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
What are you, are you a fucking Dane lover or something?
Yeah, every time I listen to Dane Cook, that's all I hear.
Don't you call him the Great Dane?
The Great
And
Dane.
not Gus Hansen?
I was gonna say the Great Dane is Gus Hansen, always.
Who gambles? Which you can do on the website that Mark just gave us.
MyBookie.ag.
Easy to remember.
Go today. Late fees with an S. All right, now we're moving on to the Parents Guide game today. And every time we do this, Mike and I go back and forth and we read clues from the Parents Guide on IMDb of a movie, and we will see if the other one can get it. Mike, do you want to test me first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. So here is your first clue. Under sex and nudity, the lingerie is very revealing.
Tootsie.
No, that's a good guess, though. There's lingerie in that.
I haven't seen it.
Let's see. Under violence and gore, a house explodes and kills 2 police officers.
Poltergeist?
No. Let's see. One. So this is a typo, I think. This is also under violence and gore. One character is hot in the back. I'm pretty sure they meant shot in the back.
Or hit in the back?
Maybe.
No, wait. What if they do mean hot in the back?
The clue right underneath this says the main villain shoots a bad guy and he dies.
What?
The main villain shoots a bad guy and he dies.
I think this is a Lethal Weapon movie. Is it Lethal Weapon 3?
No.
2?
Nope.
Okay, I give up.
So profanity. Lots of mild profanity scattered throughout the film.
One character repeatedly says he's too old for this shit.
Cocksucking is used once, which is surprising from a PG-13 movie, but it said
PG-13.
But it's said so quickly, you most likely won't pick up on it at first.
Is this Roxanne?
No. No. Oh my god. Frightening and intense scenes. A young boy is threatened with a switchblade and then handcuffed while a robber ransacks his home.
Huh. Stand By Me?
No. Let's see.
Oh, I think I might know what this is, actually. But go ahead.
Okay, let's see. At the end of the film, the main character's boss yells, "Doing a fucking tango up and down my Hershey Highway." While hilarious and spoken quickly, it's tough to catch, but it's there.
Okay, that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was the movie The Client, but I don't think that's what this is now. Shit. Pee-wee's Playhouse, or Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
No. Oh my god. Okay. More sex and nudity. A thug smacks around the main character's teenage daughter. And attempted rape may be implied. A car crashes through a building, and a large group of attractive women in lingerie flee the room. A couple of references to premature ejaculation.
Is this Sin City?
No.
Really? Huh?
Let's see. There's lots of violence in this movie, but a lot of it is played for comedic effect, as it pokes fun at the action genre. Many shootouts, car chases, and explosions take place, with some hand-to-hand fighting. Most of it is bloodless, but some of it may be a little much for younger viewers.
Is it? I don't think this is it, but is it Johnny Dangerously?
No. Although I gotta do that one day.
I've meant to do that before.
Alright, let's see. I'm gonna read the main character's name, because I don't know if you... Well, I'm gonna read one more, and then I'll do the main character's name. A bomb is put into a corpse's body, and the corpse explodes. But the explosion happens
you idiot.
in the tar pits, and no blood or gore.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would have guessed this without this clue. Last Action Hero.
Correct. We just talked about it in news. Oh, yep. Last Action Hero. You got it.
Yes. All right.
I really do enjoy that movie. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, some of the acting's not great, but I mean, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, and it's not taking itself seriously. That's one of the things I like about it.
Oh no, not at all. That's a fun movie. I mean, it's a movie I could watch. I think my oldest could probably watch that one now. She might like it, but yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, clue number 1.
All right.
Oh, I cannot say that one. Hold on. Okay, an older man asks a 15-year-old if she's a virgin.
I'm gonna assume it's a horror movie because we're still in Halloween times.
It's Devil's Night for those out there in a secret alien.
Yeah, technically, when you're listening to this, it's Halloween. So happy Halloween
Yes.
as well. But,
Happy Halloween. Hail Satan.
I will say Friday the 13th Part 3.
No.
Okay.
A man tells to another man, which does not seem grammatically correct to me at all,
No.
that he's a sexual maniac.
The Predator?
No.
Okay.
A man kisses another man for celebrating their victory. Again, I don't think English is the first language of the person who wrote these, so that'll make it a little more tricky.
A man kisses another man for celebrating their victory. So I'm guessing...
I think it means to celebrate their victory. I don't know.
Right. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
No.
Alright.
An old man seduces a young girl, but nothing happens. They kiss briefly at the end of the movie.
The fuck? How does he seduce her if nothing happens?
I don't know if they know what the word seduces means. Maybe they're using the wrong word.
Black Snake Moan.
No.
Alright.
And damn it, I just realized what I should have done. I should have done Candyman, but this is not Candyman.
Oh, yeah, Candyman's a good one.
The word pervert is said twice.
Well, I mean, I understand why. You got old men kissing young women and asking if they're virgins and all this shit. I mean, it's not a
His name's Sully.
It's not a horror movie, but the Luc Besson masterpiece, Leon the Professional.
Oh, I do love the movie, but no.
In that
And I
movie,
should
she
use
tries
that.
to seduce him, though.
Yeah, because I know that. Well, I guess it could. It's a weird movie. A man on his deathbed coughs up some blood.
Well, it seems normal for a deathbed. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
No.
Alright.
One of the characters, I could probably tell you the characters' names, and I don't think you'd recognize them.
Probably not.
One of the characters begins to get depressed after realizing that another character doesn't care about the deaths of his workers. He is threatened by the character and later dies.
Doesn't care about the deaths of his workers. Alien?
No, but that's actually a good guess, because that clue makes sense for that.
Yeah, only that one, though.
Yeah, none of the other ones do. Okay, this one was clearly written by somebody from the 1940s.
Okay.
A little boy suffocates inside an icebox, and his corpse is seen while his grieving parents cry.
Now, see, this little boy suffocating in this icebox, huh? Suffocating in ice. So it's not that episode of Punky Brewster.
No.
Let me think. No, wouldn't be that. Pet Cemetery?
No, but you're closer than you might think.
Alright.
All right, I'm going to give you all the alcohol, drugs, and smoking clues at once. They're coming at you.
Okay.
Some smoking and drinking. Some pill taking.
Okay.
I'm going to throw in the profanity, too, because it's a very short section, and this might be helpful. Some uses of fucking shit. Several references to God, jerk, bastard, damn, and son of a bitch are also heard. A few sexual references, words like pervert, virgin, dog fuck. Some mild name calling, like I wish she'd go back into whatever sewer she crawled out of, and idiot are also heard.
Stand By Me?
No, but I like how they lump all those in together. I like how they lump in a dog fucking idiot as being like the same.
Right. Those are both profanities.
Right.
Sometimes they come back.
No.
Alright.
Well, let me find a clue that doesn't have the title of the movie.
Okay. Oh, so the title of the movie's spoken a lot in the movie then.
I've never seen this, but I know you have.
Alright.
There are implications. Oh no, that was really bad. There are implications of one of the characters being a former prostitute.
Okay, so former prostitute, lots of perverts, old men seducing young women, and I was kind of close with the Stephen King guess.
I like how he did an ad for a gambling company. You just hear you like shuffling cards in the background.
I always have some kind of gambling accoutrement on me.
I just hear you like clicking the other poker chips next.
Right. I do have a couple on my nightstand right now, actually. But I haven't been to a casino in a while because I like doing it online more. I really do. It's not just selling the mybookie.ag.
Yeah, I'd like to do like cards online. Not like for like any high stakes or anything. But that would be fun. I like poker. I don't know if you can you do that in the U.S. now? I don't know what the laws are. I know they banned it at one.
I mean, not really, but yes. You can, but like you're not. I guess you're not supposed to. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Quit
stalling!
I will say, this is Creep Show.
No.
All right. Tales from the Crypt. Dark Side of the Moon, the one they didn't release.
Okay, I think this one might give it away. The chase scene at the end is quite unnerving and scary as it involves two men and a girl that escape from the Mangler, which started walking and spurting fire and is after...
The Mangler?
Yes.
Holy fuck. Oh, what a terrible, terrible movie.
Yeah, pretty much every other clue says the Mangler in it, so...
I think the reason it took me so long to get that is because I blocked most of the Mangler out of my mind.
Yeah, I've heard from you and my wife who also saw it that it's very bad.
It's one of the worst pieces of shit I've ever seen in my life. I can't overstate how horrible... You know how good mybookie.ag is? The Mangler is as bad as that is good.
I've never seen the Mangler, but just a little prequel. I think prequel, that doesn't make sense for what I'm saying here. Yeah. I think one of the things we saw for dumpster diving this week was, I can't imagine anything being worse than that.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that.
I took notes on that one.
So, real quick, before we get on to the main topic of the day, I want to play you a promo for one of the shows on the network. This particular show is... Now, Mike, last week you got mad because, sometimes I appear on other shows and you felt betrayed. This is basically the show I was thinking of because I've been on this show twice, talking up massive late fee and everything, representing, but you might want to come on the show too at some point. They talk a lot about politics here on Voice from the Underground, and they have a
I don't have any interest in talking about politics, to be honest with you.
I figured, but they like, so what their show does is their show kind of talks like about social issues, but it also like juxtaposes it with pop culture and stuff like that. Here's the thing though, a lot of times they talk about comic book movies and then they weave politics in with it, so it honestly sounds like maybe the worst thing in the world for you. Two things.
I'm sure it's a great show though.
It is a great show. I mean, I listen to the show every week. Dutch, Big Haas, TJ, they do a great job. So here is Voice from the Underground.
Hey guys, this is Venice. and I've got a message from a friend of mine about my favorite podcast.
It's your boy, Flavor Flav in full effect. Check this out, everybody. I want y'all to go check out TJ.
What's good, everybody? TJ Johnson here for Voice from the Underground. I am the most handsome.
Big Has.
And I'm smoking my cigar, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Dutch.
You pick me up in an Uber and a PT Cruiser, I'm calling Lyft.
Cause they be fighting the power, talking about social issues, politics, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not even that good.
Right, we're terrible. Terrible. Tangents all over the place.
And not only that, but they be keeping it fun with the sports, music, comics, and movies too.
Am I allowed to talk?
I think, no, not right now.
Shut up, colonizer!
You know what I'm saying? He on Twitter at VFU Podcast. So you can find them, So check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy.
Okay, what Flav was trying to say is check out Voice from the Underground on your favorite podcast network.
Voice from the Underground.
So that was Voice from the Underground. Apparently they ran into Flavor Flav someplace and got him to record a promo for them. So that's cool.
I wonder if it was on Cameo.
On where?
Cameo?
I don't know what that is.
It's a website where you could hire celebrities. Like you pay them a nominal fee, and they'll do a video for you.
Oh, interesting. We should check that out.
Norm McDonald's actually on there.
We should definitely check that out for Norm McDonald. See if Norm see if Norm will quote himself doing a review of our show, and he can do the promo for this show.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that maybe we'll invest some of the money that both we get paid from mybookie.ag for doing their commercial, and then also the money we win from mybookie.ag.
Yeah, see, whatever money we make for them, I'm just gonna put into their website.
Absolutely, and then try to double it up.
It automatically doubles. There's no try, Mark.
That's true. Try to quadruple it up. But speaking of quadrupling up or tripling up, I guess so what we saw this week, what we watched, like we mentioned last week, was Castle Rock on Hulu, and they released 3 episodes right off the rip. And if you're listening to this on the day that this comes out, on Halloween, that means that if you kept up with it, you watched the newest episode yesterday, which is when we're recording this, so I don't know that episode. But I did watch the first 3 episodes. Mike, I think you watched fewer than that. Is that correct?
I watched about 2. Yeah, maybe I got a little to the 3rd one, but
you watched 2? I'm surprised because I started watching this from the first episode. I'm watching the first episode. My wife and I are about halfway through, and I'm like, Mike's not finishing the first fucking episode.
It was kind of funny because I believe last week I was asking about it, and I said, "Oh, do they use actual, normal characters from his works?" Or you're like, "Oh no, it's kind of set in there." And of course, in this season, they just use characters from his work.
Yep, and they completely changed not completely, but they definitely changed the characters a little bit. So the first season, I'm not telling you to go back and watch the first season, but you might actually like the first season. The first season is how I said it's original characters. It's set in Castle Rock. The Shawshank Prison is one of the big settings for it, and it's interesting. I like what they did with the first season. For this season, they are focusing on Annie Wilkes, which you guys, fans of Stephen King will remember, was the nurse in Misery, who died at the end of that book. So I don't know if this is an alternate timeline. I don't know if it's just a different dimension.
Because it's like not only is she, I guess she's really not. I would say I thought she was she seems like she's in her 20s, I guess. Mm-hmm. I believe Kathy Bates was in her 30s when she did Misery.
Yeah.
But that's basically makes me hate this show immediately, because why would you even tread on that ground of trying to do better than Kathy Bates?
Yeah, that's and I like Lizzie Kaplan a lot. And
is she from other stuff? I don't think I've seen her or anything, but you seem like you're familiar with.
Yeah, so she's in. Oh man, I can't think of it. Give me a second, and I'll let you know. But
Or is she from like
Susu Studio? She's no, she's from the Lizzie McGuire show. That's
okay.
No, I'm just joking. She's so one of the things I like, she's got those giant eyes. So and she kind of looks like
Cartoon from
like Kathy Bates a little bit. But she was in I remember her from Orange County actually. She was in Mean Girls. She was the friend, and then she was in Cloverfield. She was in Hot Tub Time Machine, 127 Hours. Let's see, The Interview, which wasn't great, but
is she like close friends with James Franco or something?
no kidding. Well, she was in The Disaster Artist too. And Extinction and The Night Before, so maybe. And now You See Me Too. She was on Freaks and Geeks too. I remember that. And
Who was she on that?
Show. She played Sarah. She was only in 4 episodes of it, but
was that Seth Rogen's girlfriend?
Yes, I believe so.
With the secret.
Yes, correct. And she was apparently she was on True Blood as well, although I didn't really watch that as much. And, she's been in a bunch of other stuff, but I like her a lot, and she looks like Annie Wilkes basically, but yeah, it's not like she does a bad job. She does a fine job in the role, but
I just feel it's like putting yourself up. That's like one of the best like performances in like any movie ever. Like Kathy Bates says, it's like oh hey let's do this new movie. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to have you be shit. You can be Gandhi. Okay, try and play Gandhi. We haven't seen a good Gandhi performance.
I think the one that you could do is like Don Corleone. We're gonna make
exactly
a Godfather TV show, and we're gonna cast somebody as Don Corleone.
Actually, that's kind of tricky because he was played by 2 different actors. That specific example,
but 2 really good actors.
Yeah, it's like why remake anything? Like it's just like you're taking like one of the best possible versions of something, like the best film adaptation of this. That might be the best Stephen. I know a lot of people love The Shawshank Redemption, but honestly, Misery is definitely one of the better like adaptations of Stephen King novels as well.
Yeah, you ready for a hot take? Misery is a better movie than The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's. I don't think there's any doubt to that. Shawshank Redemption is just very long, like unnecessarily long, and some. They take a novella and expand it into like that really long movie, and then they took like a full novel and like just made it, like a regular length movie. But there was more. There's a very dark vibe to Misery. It's
oh yes,
it's a very creepy.
Absolutely. I don't dislike The Shawshank Redemption. I think it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's on TNT way too much, but it's
for sure. I when it's on, I catch it. It's like a comfortable movie to watch. Like what's going to happen. It's fun. There's good performances. It's like it's just a fun. It's even though it's a dark subject and it includes a man being raped at one point. Yeah. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, and the sequel where Red becomes a killer for hire in Mexico is really good as well. But yeah, it's. Do you remember that, Mike? You remember that?
Oh yeah, I've thought about that quite a bit.
But anyway, it's a fine movie. But Misery's a better movie. I will put Misery as, and I'm talking objectively. I'm not even talking about preference wise. The direction of the movie, the acting in the movie, the script. I will nuts and bolts objective put up Misery against Shawshank Redemption any day. I think it's a better movie. I think Shawshank Redemption gets overblown a little bit, to be honest with you.
Can you think of a better Stephen King adaptation than Misery?
No. Stand By Me is pretty good.
That's
also
good.
Directed by Rob Reiner, so they're both Rob Reiner movies.
Oh, he directed Misery? I didn't know he did that.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob Reiner used to be a very, he is. I'm not saying he's like terrible now or anything. He just doesn't direct much anymore. But he used to be an excellent director, I think. Stand By Me is pretty good, but not as good as Misery. I honestly can't think of any better. The Shining is good, but The Shining is also kind of not Stephen King's
Yeah, it's a lot different. Yeah,
It's a Stanley Kubrick movie for sure.
And this is very, I don't even like saying this, especially since we've discussed this at length before, but I thought Apt Pupil was a pretty good adaptation as well.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, even though there were some real life rapes going on during the shooting of that one.
Yeah, Brad Renfro killed himself too, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's great.
Or he might have, he might have overdosed.
Maybe. Or he might have thought about Bryan Singer and decided he didn't want to live anymore. I don't know. But yeah, there's
I'm sorry.
some problems with that for sure. But yeah, it's a decent movie. But Misery is the best in my opinion.
Yeah, so they take one of the best performances in cinematic history, and they decide to redo it on TV on Hulu.
Yeah.
So she's like it starts off she's driving into the town, right?
Well, she's driving. She just drives. It's like a montage of them driving.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and like her, I can't remember if it's a boy or a girl.
It's a girl, and actually, I cannot remember her name, but she was in I think it's Ellie something. She was in the movie 8th Grade, which I saw with my daughter, who was in 8th grade at the time that movie came out, and she's pretty good in this show, and she is absolutely fantastic in 8th Grade. It was one of the only times where I actually kind of cared about the Oscars for a minute, because I'm like, she absolutely deserves to win an Oscar. She wasn't even nominated for the movie, and at that point I was just like, yeah, the Oscars don't matter. Like 20 years from now, people are going to watch that movie and be like, wow, that's a fantastic performance. Nobody's going to think like, but did she win the Oscar?
Yeah, well, the problem with her performance was she didn't shoot fire out of her arms.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, she's fantastic in the show. She's a very good actress. But yeah, her and her daughter are driving, and they're just kind of. It's clear they're driving away, and then she gets into an accident right around Castle Rock, so they have to stay there, and it's established that she's a nurse. There's a lot of Easter eggs. They have she's got like a pig pin, and I think she's got socks that are pigs.
In Misery, for those who don't know, Misery was a pig in the novel, in the novel inside it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do like.
Go ahead again.
Universe too, much like Marvel or DC. I mean, he's got the King.
Hey, start that again because you broke up.
From what part?
After you said about the pig, then you were like, I really like something, and then it broke up.
I really like the little touches that are references like the larger Stephen King universe, which I mean, really, when you think about it, much like the Marvel verse, there's definitely a Stephen King verse, in literature and
sure.
Movies, TV shows. It's just spread everywhere. He's such a prolific, and pop.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many references you could just sneak in there. I think there's a reference to the number 19 at one point.
Yeah, both the title sequence. The title sequence this year is a little bit different from last year's title sequence, but they both featured 19, the number 19. So that's a big thing. And then Lizzie Kaplan's Misery and her daughter Joy live or they stay in the 19th cabin or whatever at that place where Ace Merrill is speaking of Stand By Me.
Yeah, that surprised me that because like again I was you had said this is it's its own thing, and then it's like Ace and Pop Merrill show up. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I know, it's so funny because I said that this was before it actually premiered. I didn't know anything about what was going on with it, and I said that, and I see in the first episode like fucking 3 characters are there. I was like, oh, okay, well that's great. Elsie Fisher, by the way, that's the actress's name.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so and then last season, the first season, they cast Sissy Spacek, who of course was Carrie in the movie Carrie, and then this year they have Tim Robbins from The Shawshank Redemption.
Playing Pop Merrill.
Yeah. And it's funny, he's obviously playing a slightly different version of Pop because, the most of when we see Pop Merrill is from the novella The Sundog from Four Past.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe he's referenced quite a bit in, is it Needful Things?
Yeah, they talk about him a lot, yeah. Because he had a shop before Needful Things opened up.
Yeah, I think at one point Ace gets like some coins from him that he thought were worth more than they were or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so they're two familiar characters. I mean, Ace Merrill kind of pops up in quite a bit of stuff. As you mentioned before, he's in The Body. He's in Needful Things. I think he's in something else too.
Yeah, he's in. I'm trying to think of the other one that he's in. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, he pops up a little bit. Pop Merrill also kind of is mentioned in passing. Like Ace Merrill, the Merrill family, they're mentioned a lot in different things that Stephen King's done. Kind of like you said, it's a whole kind of world that he's definitely created that. And I don't know if it's. I know he read comic books a little bit when he was younger, so I don't know if he kind of got that sensibility from comic books or what. But he certainly likes to cross characters over and everything. So,
and he's built a distinct world. I mean, even with like the character Randall Flagg, who kind of like appears across different books with the same initials. Sometimes it's a different name, but it's always the same character.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he'll pop up at some point in this Castle Rock show.
I would assume that eventually he's gonna be in one of them. But they do go to Salem's Lot in this one as well. Inexplicably, Salem's Lot is right by Castle Rock and populated almost entirely by Somalians who were brought over ostensibly, I guess, in a large part by Pop himself after the war.
This has to be the war, the one in like the late 90s, right?
Yeah.
I think he says the kids are like 8. They speak, and I have no idea what language they speak in Somalia. Is it Somali? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like when he first meets them, there's a boy and a girl, and he tells the boy, "Oh, try this. It's like the most delicious thing ever." And the boy tries it, and he knows his sister doesn't speak English, so he goes, "Oh, this is terrible." And like Ace, Pop, immediately figures it out. He starts cracking up because the boy's already showing like an entrepreneurial type spirit, and then we kind of like pan over and see Ace and his brother, whose name I don't know because I don't think I've heard of that.
Charlie or something like that, I think.
So, yeah, I'm not sure, but I just assume he's going to be dead at some point since, he's a brand new character that they can do whatever they want with.
Yeah, that's my guess.
But yeah, then we kind of cut in, it's in the present day, and like the boy, Pop owns this mall that's like an entirely Somali, it's almost entirely Somali, correct?
Yeah.
Or is it just like immigrants in general, but there's a large Somali population in Castle Rock in this?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's basically, and my wife was like, "Does this seem like something that Pop would do? Like when bringing over the Somalis and everything?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I could kind of see it because of how we learn that they're paying rent for the stalls that they have at this like flea market type place." I was like, I could kind of see him do trying to do something like slightly good, but also he has his own interests at heart.
And they show them like some people are saying they want to leave and go somewhere else. They're like, "Oh no, you're staying here," and they kind of are trying, basically forcing them to keep going here and paying rent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's clear that Pop, because Pop, we find out pretty early on that Pop has cancer, and I think it's pretty clear that he's mellowed over time from what he was earlier in his life. The time period is sort of weird, the way they're kind of playing with time, because if you look at Annie Wilkes' age and kind of where she's at in life with the daughter and everything, you could almost look at this as like a prequel to Misery. Like the events of Misery would happen later. But then if you look at Pop, it's like, okay, but then Yeah, I just have no expectation that they're clearly, distorting the timeline and the characters themselves. That's really a small thing once you have Annie Wilkes, being in her 20s with a child, which I believe she was childless in the book. Yeah, she was. And I think it would have been better to not do this. Like, just use like they did in the first season, use the town, use sort of the overall mythology and everything, but, just have, like, your own original characters. Like, Tim Robbins doesn't have to be Pop Merrill in order to it wouldn't change the story at all. And
if you change the names of any of these characters, it would be no different. There's nothing unique about them. I mean, she's a nurse and she has pigs. That's the only thing connecting her to the character. And Annie Wilkers or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, she's got some kind of mental problems and stuff, but we didn't do like a full psychological dive on Annie Wilkes in Misery. It was clear she had some sort of problems, but like we get a lot more in depth as to like what her problems are and how she's trying to combat them and everything. So yeah, you could change her name. She could be Susan Goodall or whatever, and no one would be like, oh, you're just trying to be Annie Wilkes, or like no one would think that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing I didn't like. As you just said, we see she has like some delusional like type behavior, like she sees things that aren't there. And as you pointed out during one of our house reviews, delusion is like seeing something and believing it's there. Like she's not sure what's real and what's not. Whereas again, I don't feel bad for doing this. I mean, I should, but I really don't. I mean, in Misery, it's much more scarier because we don't really know if she's crazy or not. We're not 100% sure if she has something wrong with her, if she's just evil. She's definitely odd. She calls people Rudy Poos and other hilarious things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the best things about Misery is like kind of the slow realization of this person just isn't right. You know what I mean? Like, there's something severely, and we don't know what it is, but there's something, like, severely wrong with this person, and it comes over time. It's not something that's just apparent right away. Like you said, she's kind of an oddball, but it doesn't become, like, it becomes sinister slowly, and it's like that creeping kind of terror.
Yeah, I just realized something. I wonder if this has ever been asked of Stephen King. Do you think Misery was originally a Bachman book?
Oh,
I mean, it would be a perfect Bachman book.
Yeah, especially the way I think it might have been because the way it was originally supposed to end is so Bachman too.
What was well, first of all, I want to say because I mean, Bachman books have no element of the supernatural in them, and there's nothing supernatural in the movie or book Misery going on.
Yeah, exactly. But the way
what was I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
The way that it was supposed to end originally is so she's got her pig that she named Misery, and she says to Paul, this is deep into the novel. She's hobbled him already and all that stuff, and she says to Paul Sheldon, the writer, write me a new Misery book. I'll let you go, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slaughter Misery the pig. And we're going to use her skin to bind this new book together, and it's going to be beautiful. All this stuff. This is her plan, right? So then
because the first time you bind a book out of human flesh, it goes flawlessly. I'm sure.
Right. So then it's like 6 months later. It basically just like says 6 months has passed. It's not winter anymore. Spring is here or whatever, all that stuff, or it's getting into summer. It's hot. We like Stephen King's describing this because this was his original plan for the ending. We kind of like pan out through the window and we see Misery is still there. She's not dead. She's happily eating and everything. She's as big as ever. We see a pedestal with a book, framed on it. The bed is empty. It's made. Paul's not there anymore. And then basically, we come in and we see that she's killed Paul after he finished the book. She's bound the book in his own skin. Obviously it's going to be like, rough hewn and everything. The rest of his body, was like fed to Misery and the rest of the pigs and stuff. And that's how the book was going to end. So like she was going to kill him and bind this book in his skin, which is so a Richard Bachman ending.
Sure. Yeah, and,
but Stephen King said that Paul Sheldon ended up being, more resourceful than he thought, basically.
Sure. Although I would think that if I was being held captive, my novel will be done in 2 weeks, not 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I'd be working pretty hard on it.
But yeah, so she's like seeing things, and then she works at a clinic because, as you mentioned, she's a nurse. The doctor, who's like the most understanding person of all time, realizes catches her stealing some pills, but what she's stealing are like antipsychotics, not like opiates or anything. She goes, "Oh, you're not a drug addict. You just have severe mental disorders that you've diagnosed and are treating by yourself. I won't tell anybody as long as you stay here."
Yeah, because it's not like I could lose my license for prescribing medication without a, without a consultation, without a formal diagnosis to an employee of mine. Because she just writes her a script. Yeah, she could absolutely have her license pulled for that.
Yeah, it's very ridiculous. But yeah, so she kind of catches her on, and then we cut back to the Merrill family. There's some dispute with the Somali. I forget his name. I'm terrible with names.
Abdi, I believe is his name.
Abdi. We'll say that's his name. He's kind of getting the rest of the Somalis together to try and I think was told by Pop that he's going to inherit them all. Is that correct?
Yeah, so he's building it, and they're building it over what some people say is a witch's graveyard. So that's the other thing too. Salem's Lot is no longer vampires. I guess it's witches.
I never. Is that a good book? I've only started to read it, and it's a bunch of journal entries. I assume that's not the whole book.
It's okay. No, it's not the whole book. It's just the first I think the first chapter or two or whatever is journal entries, and the rest of it is. Well, 90% of the middle is written like a regular book, and then it ends with journal entries as well. It's okay. It's not my favorite book of Stephen King's. It was written in the 70s, and it's very much a book of its time. It's very much a 70s novel, and it's kind of like Peyton Place with vampires. I think Stephen King even described it that way one time.
Was he heavily into drugs at this point?
I don't think drugs as much. He was definitely drinking a lot, but I don't think he was quite as much into drugs.
I'd like to get a timeline of his usage and compare it to his books. I know he said Cujo. He just does not remember writing at all.
Yeah, and the Tommyknockers.
He said it's clearly a metaphor for drug use.
Oh yeah, and I mean Misery is in a way too. Like Annie Wilkes is basically cocaine, keeping him locked up, making him write.
Right.
But yeah,
I'd like to read that book again. Actually, I bet that's a lot. It ended that aged very well.
Oh yeah, I think honestly, I think Misery. Not only is it the best movie, I think Misery is maybe my favorite book of his.
Yeah, I don't know. I like his books. Some of them are just ridiculous. I don't care for them as much. I actually think Eyes of the Dragon might be my favorite one by him.
Oh, it's a really good one too.
I'd like The Stand if it was a lot shorter.
Yeah, The Stand has some problems.
I don't need to hear about how they get the electrical grid back online.
No kidding. It's the Stand is very much like, okay, Stephen King's written 3 books at this point. The last one was, number 1 on the bestseller list. He is a bona fide star now. We can't tell him they cut this part. We can't. I mean, they did honestly, actually, because originally it was like a 1,200 page book. They cut it.
Yeah, I was
down
actually going to mention this.
Pages, and then and then in the 90s when he was an absolute superstar, he's like, "Fuck you! I'm putting those 400 pages back in."
Yeah. What I would just say here is, I don't know if you remember the commercials where he was talking about how it was cut out and how he put them back in.
Yeah.
I think that was the moment where he just stopped caring at all about what his editor said. He's like, hey, here's some money.
Yeah,
exactly. You take a little bit of cut. Put the sentences in order, correct grammatical mistakes, punctuation. Mm-hmm. Don't touch another thing.
Yep. No, absolutely. I agree, because to me, Stephen King's a really good writer in desperate need of a really good editor.
And the ironic thing is, in his book on writing, his best piece of advice is to cut all the bullshit out.
Yeah.
The author of Insomnia, Stephen King, says you should cut out any extraneous material.
Seriously. Stephen King is is single-handedly responsible for the destruction of trees in the Northeast.
I mean, isn't Insomnia like an 800-page book?
It's very long, and it's another one where it's like, here's the thing, too. It's sort of hard to criticize Stephen King, especially if you're a fan, because there are good things in Insomnia. And, there are things that are really good, but there's like 500 pages of stuff that doesn't need to be there.
About old people having trouble sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, I bet Insomnia is probably like a really good like mythology book because it talks a lot about like stuff that's related to the Dark Tower.
Yes, correct. And
we even get like the very like last bit of Insomnia is basically a prequel to the next Dark Tower, which everyone was really in need of at that point. It was like the little boy talking about the Crimson King.
Yep, exactly. The Crimson
King
and the what I can't remember what he calls the gunslinger.
He calls him the Red King, I think, because he doesn't know. But they mention it's a Crimson Cran, which I don't know why. I guess he would have that because they say he does nothing but draw all day.
Yeah, Peter Danville or Patrick Danville.
Patrick, yep. Yeah. But yeah, so there's some conflict. Stuff happens. I really did not find this interesting. Like I said, I gave it 2 episodes. I'm like, maybe it'll pick up. It did not for me. I didn't see anything that was like, aside from like the woman with like her mental issues, there's not any like creepy like supernatural type Stephen King things going on yet.
Yeah, it's so I'm interested enough, I guess, that I'll continue to watch it. But I'm not loving it. It's not great. It's not nearly as good as the first season. The first season's really interesting. Like, I'll tell you what the first season's about a little bit, in case maybe you do want to watch it. I don't know. The first season opens up with Terry O'Quinn, Locke from Lost.
No, actually, that's not. That's Peter from Millennium. Actually, my friend.
Correct. That's true. He kills himself by tying a rope around his neck, tying it to a tree, getting into his car, and driving into Castle Lake. Which it's like
he survived.
Yeah, so he decapitated himself and drove into the lake. But he was the warden of Shawshank Prison. This guy, I'm trying to remember his name now. Will Devers, I believe, is his name. He ends up getting called back into town. Sissy Spacek is his mom, and he's adopted. And his dad was a reverend who's dead now. Is that
the theme of these Castle Rock series? Then there's adoption involved.
Apparently, yeah.
We're really big in the orphan market.
So they find in Shawshank Prison, in an area that was cordoned off because of a fire or some sort of like hazard or something like that. They find in this deep dank hole Bill Skarsgård in a cell, and he claims that the warden had put him in there. The warden that killed himself. So they're trying to figure out, what are we gonna do? Like, he doesn't have there's no record of him supposedly being here. This is a big clusterfuck kind of thing. We don't know exactly what to do. It turns out that Terry O'Quinn from Millennium said that, like, he's got all these notes and everything. Basically, he says he found the devil. Like, there's something wrong in Castle Rock. Things always go wrong. I believe the beginning narration mentions Cujo, not by name. None of this stuff by name. It does mention Frank Dodd, now that I think about it. He's not actually in it, but they just say, it's almost like the beginning of Needful Things, the book, where he's like, you've been here before. Yeah, sure you have. And he's talking about all the things that have happened in Castle Rock. It's kind of like that, where he's like, bad things seem to happen in Castle Rock, like the police officer that went nuts, or that dog that killed the old sheriff, or whatever. Like, they talk about, it's like, and I don't think they're really trying to say, like, hey, it's like, it's sort of like, they're just like acknowledging the mythology, I think. But he like kind of gives that opening narration and says all these bad things are happening. And then he says, I found the devil. Like, I found the source of all this evil. It's in a person, and I've imprisoned him. And basically, it's like that Twilight Zone episode where they supposedly they have the devil, and then the devil gets let out, and stuff. I think it's called the Howling Man. But anyways,
yeah, the Howling Man for sure.
So that's kind of the plot of it. Is he's saying that this guy is the devil. Will Devers is who Bill Skarsgård asks for, and Will Devers is who comes to, and Bill. He's a lawyer. He ends up, basically saying, I'm going to represent this guy and everything. If you don't let him out. So he's trying to secure this guy's release. He thinks Terry O'Quinn was nuts. And that's like the basic setup. So you don't know, is Bill Skarsgård evil? Is he not evil? What the fuck is going on with with this stuff? What's real, what's not real, so it's kind of there's a mystery element of it to it as well. And that's sort of the setup of and other things happen and everything like that. But that's kind of the basic setup of season 1, and it's really interesting, and it focuses on these characters that are wholly original characters. And like I said, this one it's not the same. Like it's the stuff with Salem's Lot. So there's one character in season 1 that's a character in Stephen King's books, and it's Sheriff Pangborn, Alan Pangborn. And that was the one thing I didn't like about season 1. And I told Carol all the time, I was like, that's not Sheriff Pangborn.
It's distracting.
Yeah, that's not how he would act. That's not the things he would say. That's not what he would do. But he's in season 1, he's elderly and barely in it. But any scene that he shows up in, I didn't like, but luckily, like I said, he's barely in it. So I didn't have that big of a problem with it. Unfortunately, for this season, it's like all of them, and it's, like you said, it's distracting, and I could get over it if the story was really compelling, but it's not super compelling to me.
Yeah, so I'm probably not going to continue. If you do so, I guess let me know what happens, but yeah, it's not for me.
I'll probably I'll watch the next episode for sure, and I'll see what I think, but honestly, I might just, we'll see. If the next episode, if I don't like the next episode, then I'll probably just wait till season 3 and try again in season 3 and see if it's any good. That's the one thing that's good about the anthology series, like American Horror Story. I watch that sometimes too. And there are seasons of that. That's the most uneven show in the world. There are seasons of that.
Even more so than Dexter?
Yes. Because there are seasons of that are garbage. Absolute garbage. And then they're like just the worst TV I've ever seen. And then there are seasons of it that are really, really good. So I always have to give it 1 or 2 episodes and be like, okay, is this going to be one of the good seasons or not? And
that's a good idea to have an annual horror themed. Don't they use the same actors and stuff too?
Yeah, they do.
I would prefer though if it was just called John Carpenter's American Horror Stories.
Absolutely, that'd be great, and we could have that synth music from John Carpenter for every.
That'd be sweet. Although I don't, he kind of just stopped directing at some point, didn't he?
Pretty much, yeah. I think he's basically retired now.
Yeah, I know he did was associated with Ghosts of Mars, but I think he just produced it or something. I hope.
Yeah, he gets a credit and money from Halloween, and I love how he does not give a fuck. They've been talking about redoing Big Trouble in Little China with The Rock or whatever. And,
yeah, I heard about that. Or Chris Pratt, I think at one point they were saying.
Yeah, and he does not care. He's not the type of person that's he's basically the opposite of Alan Moore, where he's not not I've got to protect my properties or whatever. He just smokes 15 cigarettes while you tell him what you want to do with his property, and he's like, so I get to cash a check at the end of this? Okay, that's fine. I
kind of respect that though. You probably could just say, my version still stands. You're not changing or altering it. I already put out what I have to say about it. If you want to pay me more money to have this piece of shit Rob Zombie butcher my movies, go ahead.
That's basically his exact attitude. From interviews I've seen of him, that's basically exactly what he says. He's like, I made Halloween, so I don't care, you know?
Yeah, I'm fine either way if you want to be like Alan Moore or, more like John Carpenter. I just don't like it when studios act against the will of the original intent, Alan Moore did not want there to be a movie, but since his works were owned by DC, which, he did agree to at the time, but I mean, it just sucks that he couldn't, have bought the rights back and just like made it so he could never produce anything related to it.
Yep. And he also didn't want it to be followed up on, which they fucking done.
Yeah, but he still has the original, Watchmen miniseries that he did exactly how he wanted, and it's still.
Yep. No, I agree. It's
just choose to ignore everything else like I do.
Yep, me too.
However, the intro to the Watchmen movie might be the best intro to any movie ever. I was so hyped seeing the intro, but oh my god.
I love it, yeah, with the alternate histories and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, it really bothered me because they had like still photos, promoting it before it came out and stuff, and they were like shots from the comic book. It was like a perfect frame. I had really big hopes for this movie, but it just fell flat.
Yep. Yeah. No, I loved it. I loved it as well. It was really good, but the opening. But yeah, I didn't like the. I mean, obviously they changed stuff. I don't know why. Like, why take the squid out? I don't get that. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have Dr. Manhattan in here, and
Yeah, it's like people. I mean, some people prefer it, but it really is just dumb. I mean, it's like really just kind of thrown together at the last minute. The squid thing, at least in the comics, I mean, yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. But I mean, at the same time, you have a man who could turn matter into whatever he wants. It's not inconceivable. And they clearly explained that psychic abilities exist in these.
Yeah, and Ozymandias's idea makes so much more sense in the graphic novel to me than it does in the movie.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, Watchmen comic book series is great. Everything else, I mean, I'm gonna wait till more of the miniseries come out and watch it. But it's got good reviews. But the reviewers are not like making points that I would find to be relevant. Like oh, it's it's a commentary. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to see that.
This guy's like Trump. It's like
yeah, exactly. Like why don't you do a story? Maybe do some writing.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Making literally every single thing an allegory for Donald Trump does not make you a clever writer.
Right. It's like if I want to see ripped from the headlines, I'll go watch Law and Order.
Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, because everyone's doing that now. Like every single thing I see, it's like, oh, that's a allegory to Trump, and it's like, I get it. Lots of people don't like him, and obviously he's omnipresent in our lives. But it's like, I want to escape from that when I'm watching a fucking show.
I know a lot of people rightly so say that Hollywood is like a basically a platform for like liberal progressive ideas, but it's like, I mean, half the country voted for this person even if you didn't. I mean, it's just like you're not even like living in the real world of this.
Yeah, agreed. Oh.
But yeah, that's our show for today.
All right. So
happy Halloween.
Yep, happy Halloween, and don't take this as an endorsement from me of Donald Trump, because it's not. I'm just sick of fucking hearing about it.
And a nice surprise for our listeners, if you play this episode backwards, you'll hear me giving a glowing review of the Avengers Endgame.
Yep, exactly. To wind it back, and but you got to do it at 1.5 speed, though. 1.5 speed backwards. And it is a review of Endgame, which Mike says that
it's gushing. To be honest,
that's his reaction. It's our masterpiece. So go ahead and listen to that, and we will see you next time. Tell friends. Thank you, everybody, for telling friends about the show. For
MySpace.
Yeah, for giving us stars, for going to MySpace. Talk to us on Twitter if you want to. Massive Late Fee everywhere. We will see you next time. Bye.
See you later.